So here we start with section A, subsection 1 in the PLE paper of 2024, and these were the first 5 questions that learners were tasked. But I'll begin by first clarifying to our learners and the viewers that with these questions of filling in the gaps, there are questions that we call knowledge questions. So a learner is required to read and understand the question before a learner chooses on a word to fill in the provided space. When we read number 1, it stated, Rose crossed the road as dash as it was clear. A candidate of last year, we expect this learner to have passed through P6 class, whereby this is the class where the learner learned the concept of safety on the road. So in this question, the learner was required to identify the key words that are going to lead him or her to identify the word to fill in the provided space. So when I read this question, the learner had to focus on the action verb crossed the road. When they say Rose crossed the road, then this learner was also required to check the verb was, then the adjective clear. Say that the learner emerges those two and now comes up with one single word that can be filled in that space to complete the statement in correct grammar. Because for learners who considered as, for them they took it to be a simile, because when we are stating similes, we use these two words. But in this question, it wasn't a simile, but it was now a learner to emerge these two, to relate the action verb crossing the road, and now the other side of was clear. Meaning, this learner had to remember the concept of the adverbs that the teacher might have taught when handling safety on the road. And we have the adverb which is in form of a conjunction, as it is written in some textbooks, and the conjunction that we can use to state two simultaneous actions that would have taken place almost at the same time. We have one immediately, that is a simultaneous conjunction that you can use. Someone can use as soon as. Someone might use the moment. These are adverbs in form, but we use them to state two different actions, but you realize that one action takes place because of another. So of the statement given, it means a learner was required to fill in the word soon, because the statement is clearly stating Rose crossed the road. But they are telling us that the time Rose crossed this road, it was clear, meaning we are to use this adverb of soon, and we complete that statement correctly. Number 2, Adam is 2 years dash than his little sister. Here we identified that most learners were giving us the adjective elder. Most of them, that was their answer, whereby it was wrong, in a way that we use elder only when you are describing the relationship. Take an example. Someone would say Adam is the eldest brother of Alice. That grammar is correct. But here they are telling us how old Adam is in comparison to the age of his little sister. So being that they are just comparing the ages of the two people, that means a learner was required to fill in the word older, but not elder. Then in number 3, they say The last bus leaves Kampala at 12 noon. Most of our learners in that year of 2024, they said this question is already correct. We got some learners who were just leaving a space because they thought it's just a matter of saying the last bus leaves Kampala. When you leave it without providing a suitable word, it simply means this child interpreted this question in a wrong way. They are using the action verb leaves in terms of departing. It is just another verb that you can use to mean depart. So, for those learners who interpreted and they didn't provide a suitable word thinking that the statement is already okay, they were wrong, because they wanted them to tell this last bus that leaves is leaving Kampala, rather is leaving a certain unknown place, but it has to head to Kampala. That was the correct interpretation, not saying that this bus is leaving Kampala, now going to somewhere else. No, it meant that the bus they are talking about leaves a certain unknown place, but it goes to Kampala, meaning here they had to state the preposition for. The last bus leaves for Kampala at 12 noon. Question. Yes, with question before they said, Kibisi looked smart after combing his lash. And now the learners had to fill in the suitable word. In this question, the learner had to look at the action verb combing. In science, children are taught personal hygiene activities, and one of them is combing. So a child just had to reflect and ask him or herself, what do we comb? Because Kibisi, this is a person. We can't say that maybe this is an animal or a plant. So when they talk of combing, it was the guiding word that could make a learner get to understand the word to fill in the provided space, whereby the answer was none other than hair. So it was to be completed as Kibisi looked smart after combing his hair. Number 5, I dash my prayers whenever I wake up in the morning. Also, this question was so interesting, whereby most learners, some of them, they preferred to give the verb said. I said my prayers. Meaning this child has tried to interpret the adverb whenever. This adverb, it means the action is done always. That means if a child is to complete the question, has to write an action verb here which is in present form, because this action is done several times, or it is done when at the moment this action has to be carried out. So for learners who wrote said, these were marked wrong. Reason being, here it is past tense, but here we are given an action verb which is in present, and it is correctly matching with the adverb of whenever. That means the only correct form of the verb to be used here, it was I say my prayers whenever I wake up in the morning. So, dear viewers, our learners, always read these questions and interpret them thoroughly. Don't rush. This paper is given to you and is for 2 hours and 15 minutes. And when we are setting these questions, we are very sure that 2 hours and 15 minutes are enough. Even you can have the bonus of checking out your work. So my advice is, these questions of number 1 to 5, or questions where you are required to fill in the blank. Don't read the question once. You may read and interpret it in a hurried way, and you will end up giving us an answer which is not correct, or which does not bring out the meaning of what is being tasked in that question.